Hey guys, Gene here with G Squared Tactical. Yes, we have another 6-hour P365 on the table today. This is the AXG Legion. One of the very first things that you're going to notice, other than the fact that it's an alloy frame, is just the beautiful Legion gray color, which to me almost just looks green, a greenish. Seems to be a different color in different lighting, say sunlight. Very, very beautiful. A lot of you guys have commented and told us that if we liked the X Macro Tac Ops that we should go and get the X Macro Comp. And so I did a little bit of research. I was like, they have so many different variants of this thing. I would spend a small fortune trying to review every different variant. So I was looking into it, noticed that the price from the X Macro Comp and this one was about a $350 difference. And so I just decided to go to the top.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up.
Just go all the way to the top, get the top model. And that's what I went out and I did. And we have shot this at the range. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second after we talk about some of the features of this. Obviously, it does have the alloy frame here. Obviously, it is heavier than the polymer variants, but feels way, way better in the hand. Ergonomically, not so much, basically the same, but because of the added weight of the aluminum or alloy lower here, it is just phenomenal. Just feels great and very well balanced in the hand. Feels way better than my X Macro Tac Ops. So anyway, again, as I said, does have the Legion Gray, does have the flared magwell here that can be easily removed with one screw, does have the checkering on the rear here, also has the nice deep flat beaver tail just like on the other variants, also has the checkering here on the front, very, very nice undercut here on the bottom of the trigger guard to get a nice high and tight grip. As you know, I am a fan of any gun really that has a flared magwell, because again, it helps to keep my grip high and tight. Does have these nice Legion G10 grips on here, and it did come with the torque screw in the grips. I'm a huge fan of that. I hate flathead screws. Does have these serrations here on the lower for serving, I guess, would be like a memory pad on the left and on the right. Aesthetically, if I'm looking at the gun, that's the only thing that kind of throws it off to me. I wish that would have been a little more flat, maybe a stippling, if you will, maybe. I don't know if there's any part of it aesthetically that I'm not a fan of. It would be those lines. They seem to be kind of out of place, don't really go uniform with anything else, but that's neither here nor there. Has nothing to do with the performance, and it is a very nice memory pad there. Has the same swappable mag release, very easy to manipulate without changing my grip at all. So I'm a huge fan of that. Same flat face trigger, does have checkering on the bottom of the trigger guard here and also on the front. You do have your 1913 pick rail. I have mounted my TLR7 sub up here, and the same flat face trigger that you see in the other variants. Does have the extended slide lock here like on my Tac Ops. Does have front and rear serrations. As you can see, the slide is comped. There's no porting in the barrel, and we do have a metal guide rod in here. And it does obviously come optic ready for the Shield RMSC footprint, which I believe for me, I typically don't mention other optics that I'm not a fan of. Don't want to seem as though I'm promoting them if I don't personally like them or would not use them personally for my own self-defense. So I'm just going to say the Holosun 407K series, obviously the Shield, and also this Romeo X Compact has that same footprint. That's what I chose to put up here. This is the one, obviously, that we had to send back to SIG because it scratched up so badly after the first range visit. They sent it back to us, did not put anything in the box indicating what they did. I can only assume they replaced the glass because it was scratch free when they sent it back to us. And we did shoot this, and it was just being impaled by aluminum casings. Get some of that aluminum ammo. And there's no scratches on it thus far, so hopefully that stays the same. Jury's still out for me on this optic. I'm not really sure yet what I think about it, whether or not I'm going to keep it on here long term. I guess only time will tell that, because I can certainly say that I'll be shooting this gun because it was a ton of fun to shoot out at the range. And so before we get into talking about the range, we'll just talk a little bit about some of the pertinent information. Most of the sizes, as far as the overall length being 6.6, the overall width being 1.4, the height 5.2, the barrel length 3.1, sight radius 5.1, accessory rail, the flat face striker fired trigger. All of those things are going to be very, very similar, if not the same, as the X Macro, other than of course the slide being a little bit longer, overall length being a little longer because of the compensated slide here, but mostly very much the same. Where it's going to come in at is obviously the overall weight of the gun, and that's where you're going to notice the biggest difference as far as the pertinent information goes. It comes in at about 26 ounces unloaded. Obviously that's without your light, without your optic, and obviously without it being loaded up. Seems like in most cases that it's even more well balanced with those things in place, especially with a full magazine, but did not seem to deplete the accuracy as the rounds begin to leave the magazine. Seemed to be perfectly accurate at the range. So that'll be your pertinent information, if you will. Does have the AXG grip module, as we have already mentioned. So in the box it did come with these very sexy aluminum base. I assume these are aluminum. Has the Legion design or symbol in there. Very, very nice there. It came with 3 of those 17 rounders. Move this out of the way here. Bring the box over. See what we have here in the box. So it comes with all your literature, has your Legion sticker here, has a 6-hour sticker in the box, and it comes wrapped up in these plastic bags. 17 of these aluminum base magazines. I like the magazines a lot. Seem not to give any problems at all. And obviously the plate, the cover plate for the optic, has the Legion symbol on it as well, and it is metal, not plastic. Pretty doggone sexy to add to the overall sex appeal there. Better put my screw back in here. Got your chamber flag. It did not come with a I say it didn't. Yeah, it did not come with a Allen or anything to take your optic off. I guess they figure if you're going to mount an optic, you have the stuff to do that with. We do, as I mentioned, have the SIG, the Romeo X compact mounted up on here. And out at the range, just to quickly talk about that, the difference in overall felt recoil is just, I mean, it's night and day. Typically, I don't talk about triggers. I'm not really a trigger snob. I mean, the trigger is okay. It's not the best ever. But I can say the same about FN, CZ. A lot of the guns that I like, are not known for their great triggers because, again, I'm not a trigger snob.
That was snobby. You're a snob.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
But out at the range, the recoil management was very noticeable. One of the things that I said, and also my wife said, upon shooting the X Macro TAC Ops that I had, it was not comped, but one of the things that she said was that it was extremely snappy, which kind of caught her and me off guard because it has features of a full-size gun, but is very compact and carryable. So I guess the recoil would sneak up on you. As you can see from some of the rapid firing we were doing at the range, this thing here just handles that recoil like a boss, and it stays on target, so therefore you can be more accurate. Super accurate, had no problems at the range whatsoever, not a single hiccup of any kind to speak of, fed flawlessly, was super accurate. Felt recoil was diminished big time. So, here's my thing. If there is some added weight, granted there is some added weight, so if you were looking for deep conceal, that may matter to you. I don't know. I carry outside the waistband in the wintertime on a leather holster, and so the added weight, I carry a 4-inch 1911 chambered in 45, so the added weight would not matter to me at all. But if you were looking to buy the compensated version of the X Macro for about $350 more, you can buy this one. Totally would go out and buy this one. I totally would skip right past the X Macro compensated and just go right out and pick this one up. So anyway, again, nothing but good things to say about this. If you have any questions, anything we might have left out, anything we didn't cover, I'm sure that's the case. I know everyone tells us to always cover the trigger. They want to know about the trigger. Well, it's basically the same as the trigger in the other variants that we had. Seems to have quite a bit of take up before it hits a wall. Seems to keep on pulling even after it hits a wall. Doesn't seem to be any defined wall at all. I'm sure that you're probably tired of hearing me say that because I said it on the X10 and also the AXG Legion. They seem to be very similar in how they feel. So it breaks at a perfect 90 degree there, but again, there's no defined wall. And then the reset, well, there it is. Let's see how much further the trigger goes forward. So basically it comes all the way back to where your take up is. So when it hits right here on the take up and you have that rolling through, I call it, basically when it resets, it comes back to right there where the take up stops is where it resets to. So it's not a short reset. It's a good trigger, not a great trigger. If you're looking for a competition style trigger, you're probably not looking at this. You might would change it out. I don't know. It's definitely not a staccato trigger or anything like that. But again, not a trigger snob. It's good enough for me. I like it. My finger does not get pinched at the bottom of it, between the bottom of the trigger and the trigger guard. So there's no issues for me on the trigger. It's not gritty at all. Yes, there is a significant amount of take up, but there's no grit there, even through the rolling. You see where it hits the wall right there, it stops and then it just keeps rolling. There's no, but there's no grit in there. So unlike if we were comparing that to my carry gun, so let's get this unloaded here, get this thing safe. As you can see, it is safe. So on my carry gun, which is this 1911, obviously it's not really a fair comparison. Does have a little bit of take up there, as you can see, but when it hits that wall, it breaks. There's no moving. It just breaks as soon as it hits the wall. That does not happen on this one. And I know I'm comparing it to a $1,800 firearm, but this one was $1,200. So, you know. But anyway, I realize also that it's a 1911, but there are some polymer frame, you know, offerings. This is not a polymer frame, obviously, but there are some offerings like this, and maybe a staccato, something like that, that trigger does break right at the wall. As soon as it hits the wall, it's a break. It's very predictable. You do have to take a little bit of time to get used to this trigger. I hate talking about triggers. I get all tongue-tied because I'm just not a trigger snob. But every single time we don't mention the trigger, someone comes out and says, what about the trigger? Anyway, go out, pick you one of these up. Can't recommend it enough. Go over to gsquaredtactical.com. We have some stuff up now for sale. I can gladly say that it is there. It's on our web store. We have hats, coasters, keychains, car coasters. Let's see, bottle openers. We have a variety of things. Go over there and check it out. Make sure you subscribe. Please tell everyone where they can find the best blue-collar working man's review on YouTube. And you guys be blessed.